Welcome to Week in Geek, your new comic preview for July 27th. I'm Mike Ortiz.
And I'm the Chris Brown.
We got a big week for you today, so what do you got?
It is a big week in terms of all kinds of things. All kinds. Obviously, you saw our opening credits, so we will get to that. I am going to start with, obviously the big surprises that everyone always gets from me. I'm starting with Planet of the Apes. This issue number 4 is the wrap-up of the first story arc. So we found out who the assassin was of the lawgiver in the last issue, and it was kind of fun. And this should wrap it up, and I'm guessing ramps it up to apes taking over, and kind of maybe puts a little tension in here with the humans and Human Town. And this book is just so much fun. I'm really enjoying it. I really like the art. It's my Planet of the Apes, as I've said before. My issue with Rise is that it's not my Planet of the Apes. But this comic is certainly my Planet of the Apes. So that's starting there. Really looking forward to reading that. Then we've got FF number 7. It's a little follow-up from that last issue, which was a little detour from where Hickman had been going before. He just kind of takes a little break and gives us a Black Bolt story. And, he returns at the end. And, now this is, I wonder if we're even going to get any FF in here, or if this is primarily just to get us back with Black Bolt. But I'm excited. I think Hickman obviously is a very talented writer. He knows what he's doing. Every step of this has been planned, and he's just got this big story.
He's laying some groundwork for how the Inhumans are going, the real Inhumans, not the alternate Inhumans he was playing with before, how they're going to fit into this, and sort of pulling them out of the Annihilation universe that they had been in and bringing them back into the Fantastic Four.
Which is where they should be.
Yep.
So, next up, we've got American Vampire. We'll just start with all the books from our favorite guys here. So, American Vampire has been great. I am sort of, with the 2 series running right now, it's just one big story to me. The other one's kind of fitting in. It's running parallel a little bit. But this is the one that I think is primarily following what is our main vampire. Like, he was in the war and all that stuff. So Skinner Sweet. So that really looking forward to that. I think American Vampire is a great book every month when it comes out. Then we've got the newly titled Captain America and Bucky. We had the first issue of Captain America a couple of weeks ago. Now this is just continuing the old Cap story, but we lost the old numbering. Yeah. But Bucky is gone, and now we're telling stories from World War II. Yeah. Right, just kind of retroactive flashback stories.
If you dug the Captain America movie, which you should have, you'll dig this.
Which I've still not even seen.
And you'll dig it.
I got to get to that. I'm looking forward to it.
Best comic book movie of the summer.
Really?
I think so.
Okay. All right. I see. My sister liked Thor better. Meredith liked Thor better, but I think it's only because she thinks the boy's cuter. Yeah. I think that's what it boils down to for my 18-year-old sister. Next up, we're going to lump them together like we always do. We got the Flashpoints. Here comes Flashpoint.
Every time we start Flashpoint, I hear the Flash Gordon theme in my head. Flash,
Nice, I like that.
I wish we could play that over the...
Yeah, we get sued.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
So I think we were just allowed to hum a little. Does that put us past the copyrights? I think we're good. So the Hal Jordan, the first one I found to be a little slow. Yeah. I didn't feel like it was an origin I hadn't heard. He just doesn't get the ring at the end. Yeah. And so now I'm kind of curious where they're building up to, because, they told us in Flashpoint that basically Zoom has taken out the Justice League. So Barry can't get to them. But some of them are still around, and, Hal's here, but how's that going to play in? It's got to be getting somewhere. Yeah. So looking forward to that.
How that dovetails with the Abin Sur book, I'm interested to see.
And they're eventually going to. Then Kid Flash Lost. This was a book I did like. This I thought was very cool. He's in the future somewhere, and he's trapped. He gets out of, he thinks he's in this other world, but he was basically just in, basically they were making him dream all of this other stuff. They always have these, when you got him strapped down, he's in some kind of other thing. And then he escapes and gets loose into the future world, and Brainiac looks like he's taking, it's all crazy. So it's not even necessarily the Flashpoint, it's not taking place at the same time as the other Flashpoint stuff. He's in the future. Wow. But it was cool. Then Lois Lane and the Resistance. We had Grifter on the cover.
Yeah, although not on this cover.
Oh, it's not on this cover?
They blacked it out because they didn't want you to know Grifter until
Well, that blacked out dude there is Grifter. I hope we didn't spoil anybody's fun. But it was really neat to see him show up in Flashpoint. I'm not a huge Grifter fan. I'm not a huge fan of the Wildcats or anything. But I'm just really excited to see how they're going to integrate these characters in.
Yeah.
And now that they're moving him in Flashpoint, it is really looking like this Flashpoint's going to end up being more important than they were originally saying. No, it's not going to leave long-term effect. I think it is. Well, it's basically the thing to get us into the relaunch, right?
The Flashpoint universe is not going to stay around, but some of the elements will hold over.
So, and that's
like Grifter and some of the other Wildstorm characters.
But we haven't seen Voodoo or Stormwatch or anything come in yet, so I'm curious to see how he's going to fit in. And I thought the first issue of this book was pretty good. Project Superman, I really, really disliked the first issue. I disliked it a lot. It felt like a Captain America book, because they were making Superman essentially like the super soldier serum, except he gets this god complex and people start to get afraid of him, and I just didn't like it at all. And it wasn't Kal-El. It was some other American human that they give this Kryptonian power to. And in Flashpoint, they get us to Kal-El.
Right.
We see that he's number one, and he had come, but he's never had any human interaction. This skinny, frail kid who's never seen the sun. Okay, now here's the skinny, frail kid on the cover. Let's hope that gets somewhere and does something cool. Next up, I've got The Cape. I loved that one-shot. I thought that one-shot was fun, and I believe this is a 4-issue.
This is not that TV show Cape.
No.
Just forget that. A lot of people have been confusing the two. This is not an adaptation. That was not an adaptation. They are two completely separate things that just happen, unfortunately for this, to share a name.
Right, and this book is really quite phenomenal. The first issue is kind of about a guy with some personal issues, and he had some when he's a kid, he falls out of a tree, has some medical problems. But he always had this cape that is his blankie that his mom turned into a cape, and he'd run around and play with it. And towards the end of the story, he realizes it gives him powers. He doesn't do with those powers what you think he's going to do with those powers.
Nope.
I'm looking forward to see this. I mean, that last issue, the way it ended, it was like, I want more.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of Joe Hill. Lock and Key is phenomenal, as talking about last week. This book I also really enjoy, and I'm glad to see it back. It seems like there was months in between that one shot in this one.
I think they actually did wait for the memory of the show to fade a little bit.
And that's probably smart, because everyone was confusing the two, and they're nothing alike.
No.
Then I've got Next Men, number 8. I'm really enjoying this book. It seems like old times again. That's I'm 16 years old and reading Next Men, so I like that book, and I'm enjoying it. I hadn't liked a lot of stuff John Byrne had been doing recently, but I feel like this is the John Byrne I like.
When his heart,
and he's not crazy and screaming at me on the internet.
When his heart is in something, it really shows, and his heart was always in Next Men.
Yeah.
And,
it was the X-Men that he didn't get to do.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Muddy Thor. Hopefully we get that battle with Galactus here, right? I mean,
they were some Galactus and some Surfer.
They were going into battle in the last issue. They were ready to tear some stuff up. So I'm looking forward to that battle and how it all shakes out. And
got 3 words: Asgardian space armor.
Pretty awesome.
I'd love me some Asgardian space armor.
I wish I had some. Instead, I have to go to space without it, and that's just a bunch of savages. Secret Avengers. I have been enjoying this book the whole way through. Well, that's not true. The first story arc I was a little shaky on, but once they got to that Shang-Chi thing in the second arc, I thought it was just awesome. And now we got Nick Spencer on here, and I think he's been doing a pretty good job. So, and I've been just liking all the Avengers titles. I think they're all doing something different, but I like what they're doing, each in their own right. Now we'll go back to my buddy Jonathan Hickman, and we'll keep with the secrets. Secret Warriors. This is the final issue, is it not? Series finale. Here we go. Wheels within wheels. Man, this story has been building and building. Nick Fury is a freaking badass. I think this book has been awesome, and I am the type of person that I generally don't like new characters. If they just introduce someone new, I'm like, meh. Even if they say that they suddenly had a legacy, well, they don't really have a legacy. You're fooling me. You just created them, and you want me to buy into this false history. I almost never like that. I have bought 100% into this book. I love all these new characters who I didn't know before. I think they're really, really well written and just a cool story, and it totally makes sense to me. Then we got one of these image number ones here. You know, the hype has died down, it seems. People aren't going all bonkers over all the number ones again here, but this one looks cool. This cover looks cool to me. You know, it's something with deep sea diving and some, presumably a vault that is found down there. The art looks pretty good. I think the art's pretty sharp. It looks very detailed, and there's a lot of reading in there. And I like a comic that takes me longer than 5 minutes to read. And that's what it's fighting a giant sea squid. That's awesome.
Wow.
So this book just sounded kind of interesting to me, and this was kind of a last-minute game time decision. Like, yeah, I want to do the vault. Like once I saw that cover, I was in. So I'm looking forward to that. Then we got Venom. The Venom book, I think, has been actually fun. While I have generally not liked this book, or not liked the Venom character very much, I think this book is fun. It ties in, with Flash Thompson, and while I thought, hasn't that guy been through enough and taken his legs and all this else? It works. It works really well. They've finally done something good with Flash, and I am really, really enjoying it. Then we got here, I think my last book. That's a lot of books I'm cruising through here.
Big week of books this week.
Very big week. We've got Invincible. As I always say, this is one of my faves. Kirkman writes a great superhero book. He's not just zombies. He also writes a really good superhero book. And I feel like while this book was accessible to a younger set when it first came out, the character has grown, and it's not a real young reader's book anymore. I would say this one's definitely leans a little older now, because Mark Grayson has kind of fit into this role. He grew into being this epic superhero that he is now. And it's just a great story. I'm still hoping they come back to Adam Eve and what's going on with her. She's, she does not have control of her powers and essentially her physiology. Some weird things are going on. So I'm really hoping we get some of that here, and it looks like we get a nice superhero battle on the cover. But that is what I got for now. What are you looking at this week?
Well, I'm starting off with the Incredible Hulks.
I thought it was going to be your pick of the week.
One, almost. Any other week it would have been. One more issue to go till this is over. I will miss it. I will dance on its grave.
Will you miss it, or will you miss picking on it?
I will miss all of it. Actually, I will miss Paul Pelletier art, because that's one of the reasons they keep hooking me back. But yeah, this is kind of the last gasp for Greg Pak on the book. He started a great run with Planet Hulk. He's ending it here. The future of the Hulk, how he plays out in the Marvel Universe, I think is a little uncertain still. With the stuff going on in Fear Itself and some other books. I'm
they
glad.
Got that new Hulk book coming now.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, this is kind of the end of that. I've been following it all along, and I'm just glad that I can stop soon.
Could have stopped at any point.
I could have, but then I would not have been entertaining you all this time with my sickness.
Well, I like you firing up Michael. Take that, Michael. You'll only have to take this for a couple more weeks.
I'll find something new to complain about every issue, too. Next up, Criminal, Last of the Innocent. This is the second issue. This has been a really interesting story.
I really like Sean Phillips' art.
I love the artwork, and it's kind of if Archie was evil.
Okay.
The characters are kind of Archie analogs, sort of, or old-time comic book character analogs. There's some art in here that are drawn, characters that are drawn more like an Archie style, a simpler style. So yeah, it's got kind of a strange vibe, a love letter to comics of old, especially teen comics of old. And yeah, if you want to see what happens when Archie finally gets around to killing Reggie, I think that's going to happen in this arc. None too soon. Next up, Uncanny X-Force. They have gone into the Age of Apocalypse world.
Oh, cool.
So Rick Remender has found a way to bring us back there. The artwork, the art
looks great.
Not Jerome Pena anymore. It's Mark Brooks, but it's fantastic. This really is a great X book. It's a great book. Everything, all the 90s are coming back again in a variety of ways, and Rick Remender's found a really interesting way to go back to the Age of Apocalypse. You see what has happened to that world since Apocalypse fell, and it's pretty interesting stuff. I really like this book a lot. Next up, X-Men Schism. This is by Jason Aaron and Frank Cho. I picked up the last issue only because of Carlos Pacheco. This one, certainly Frank Cho is reason enough to pick it up, but quite honestly, the story was pretty good. It was kind of interesting. It's engaging. Cyclops, attempts to get the world to pass legislation to outlaw Sentinels. While that happens, an evil mutant, I believe from Grant Morrison's run, causes some havoc and makes everybody create more Sentinels. So things just don't go well for the X-Men. Ultimately, this is going to end with the split into two books, the X-Men book, the Wolverine book, basically a Cyclops team and a Wolverine team. I don't know if I'll care about that, but this has got great art and a pretty good story so far. Next up, Scott Snyder.
That cover is phenomenal.
This is easily the best cover of the week. Second best.
Amazing. Second best cover.
Second best. There'll be another one later that I think just beats this by a hair. Absolutely fantastic. I have loved Scott Snyder's run on Detective. I can't wait to see what he does on Batman when he takes it over. Really, I mean, the art by Jock and Francesco Francavilla has been fantastic. This is easily the best Batman book out there. What is not the best Batman book out there is Batman the Dark Knight.
That's only because it's barely out there.
This is the fourth issue is finally out.
The fourth issue that I said was coming when I was told issue 3 was the last issue many weeks ago on this show, and I said, I'm pretty sure the others are coming out. Here's issue 4.
Here's issue 4. But it'll go back to number 1 very soon.
Yes.
Actually, it says there is one more issue coming. So
like I said, they solicited 5.
Okay,
there were 5 solicited.
They're squeezing these out pretty quickly at the end here to finish the story before the reboot. This has been pretty good. It's kind of moved from a story that I really liked a lot to something I'm kind of iffy on.
I like the Demon, though.
Finch's artwork is great. I like the idea of this being a more superhero-y book. I'll probably just stick it out and see what place it has in the relaunched universe. One of the reasons I like this one is because it is the Bruce Wayne book. Batman Inc. was kind of a team book. This is really just Batman. But once the relaunch happens, the Batman book will be Batman. So I don't know if there will be a need for this one. Next up, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Century, 1969. This follows up, I believe it was 1910.
Right.
Was the first one.
This is a year and a half ago.
The third. Yeah, this is I think an annual book at this point.
Okay, it would have been solicited a while ago, but it took a while for them to get it out.
Depending on how you look at it, this is either the third or the fourth of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Some people don't count Black Dossier as being actually one of the books, one of the real ones. This is from Top Shelf, not DC, because Alan Moore is cranky and DC is a big corporation.
And they haven't been very nice to Mr. Moore.
They have not. But yeah, this is more League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. This is set in 1969. Cool. So we're not with the same characters that we've seen before. This is going to be different characters. There might be a few holdovers. I'm really curious to see. I was not a big fan of the 1910, but now that this is set in a time frame that I think is a little bit more my speed, it might be interesting. Kevin O'Neill is still on artwork. It looks like there's some crazy, wild stuff and some boobies, apparently, too. So, kids, stay away. Next up is Kirby Genesis, number 2, continuing the sort of amalgamation of everything that Jack Kirby did that is not owned by Marvel or DC, I think is being thrown into this book.
With a guy that looks like Thor.
With a guy that looks exactly like Thor. But this has been some solid stuff. I mean, Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross certainly have a flair for an older style. The penciler on here, Jack Herbert, also quite good with some colors by Vinicius Andrade. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. But anyway, it's great stuff, a combination of Alex Ross's painted artwork along with traditional line artwork. So if you dig Jack Kirby, and you should,
I don't know why you wouldn't.
You'll probably dig this book. Next up, friend of the show, Art and Franco, Young Justice. Great cartoon. I think it's actually coming back soon if it's not already back.
And congrats to Art and Franco on winning the Eisner.
Not for this book.
Not for this book, but best publication for kids for Tiny Titans.
I like this one a little bit more.
We were, no offense, Art, we were cheering for Rob.
We're cheering
for Rob Worley, but if Rob couldn't win, it had better been one of the two.
Yes.
So congrats to Art and Franco. We're very happy for them.
But this has been a good book. We got a Superman and Superboy. They've got a really interesting dynamic in the cartoon between Superman and Superboy. Superboy makes Superman a little uncomfortable. So I'm glad to see that they're picking up on that. This really does fit into the cartoon universe very, very well. They're very tightly coordinated.
Well, I don't think there's a bigger fan of Superman on the planet than Art. And, you know, so for him to get a chance to write some Superman there has got to be very, very fun for him.
Next up is a book that I'm a little behind on because it's kind of dense. Butcher Baker. It looks like there's more craziness, some fantastic artwork.
It's awesome.
And, you know, even though I'm a few issues behind, I'm still getting it because the first couple issues were just outstanding.
Right.
Great stuff. Beautiful artwork. Joe Casey. He writes a good, crazy superhero.
Yeah, a lot of quirkiness.
Next up, Green Lantern Emerald Warriors number 12. This book's been a little odd. I mean, I think the Green Lantern stuff between the relaunch and the end of the War of the Green Lanterns are kind of treading water a little bit. And the last issue certainly felt this way. You know, they got time to kill.
Right.
And it's not bad, but it's kind of like we have this great big thing happening, and then we know we got another great big thing happening, but we got 2 issues in between. So it's not bad stuff. It's good, solid Green Lantern stuff, but it is just kind of a shock to go from these sort of big epic stories back to a quick little 2-issue thing, back to just a brand new launch. Good stuff, great cover, but you know, it's just a little treading water. And the same thing holds true for Green Lantern Corps number 62. Again, some interesting stuff, but we're at that point in a lot of the DC books where we're pre-DCNU, but we're kind of after the story that needed to be told. You know, I kind of wonder if maybe instead of publishing that War of the Green Lanterns Aftermath books, they should have just run that story in these 2 books. Probably was originally the plan, but then maybe they just figured they needed a couple extra bucks. Get a few more out of me. Next up, these were my picks last week. The DC Retroactive of the 1970s. First one is Green Lantern. This is the one that I've been looking forward to most, not just because it's Green Lantern, but because it actually is reuniting Danny O'Neill and Mike Grell, who were doing the book back in the 70s when the book relaunched. It was a Green Lantern, Green Arrow book at that time.
Yep.
So yeah, these guys have a history. These guys know the score. They actually were the guys who did the book back then. That hasn't been the case in a lot of the other ones, because a lot of the people who did the books back then are dead or retired.
Right.
But fortunately, Grell and O'Neill are still around and still doing stuff. So I'm really, really looking forward to this to see if that magic is still there. And then we got the Justice League. This is a Crisis on Earth Prime. I don't know how that's going to play out since we're Earth Prime. This one's written by Cary Bates, who is a fantastic Silver Age writer, Bronze Age writer. But this is one where the artwork by Andy Smith is a little bit more modern.
Yeah.
But still going to give it a shot. Next up, Retroactive Superman. Now this is written by Marty Pasco, who is a great guy, a great writer. He's got some fantastic insights. If you ever listen to interviews with him, the guy's a wealth of comic book knowledge. He worked on that big DC Taschen book. He's one of DC's historians, with art by the classic artist Eduardo Barreto. I don't know if Barreto did Superman in this time period or not, but certainly the artwork is in the style of that time. So since I'm old, and I liked reading comics in the 70s, I get to read the closest thing to them without having to go back and dig through some long boxes and pull out some musty, smelly old newsprint.
I'm hoping when they do the retroactive 90s ones, they put holographic covers on all of them. I'm really hoping.
Let's hope. So that's my stack.
All right. So my pick of the week, I'm gonna go with, and everyone's been waiting. Like, well, where is it? What are you talking about? Well, obviously it's the pick of the week, Amazing Spider-Man 666. Not only is it the start of Spider Island, but if you look right there, yeah, that's me on the cover. Down at the bottom there, you can see Mr. Ortiz. Marvel did that promotion where you get the retailer variant, you get to be on the cover, and we went for it, and I think the cover looks fantastic. Not to mention that Dan Slott mentioned us on the Word Balloon podcast last week.
This is one of his 2 favorite covers out of all these retailer variants,
which is pretty cool. And we got mentioned on Bleeding Cool yesterday. We were the second cover that Rich Johnston brought up. Now today, if you look, there's a bunch of other covers. But we're pretty excited, and some guys have done some really neat things, and pretty happy with this whole thing here. Looking forward to the story, Spider Island. They've been hyping it for a while here. We've been preluding to Spider Island for the last, I don't even know how many issues, and then now here we are, and there's me on the cover being saved by Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. So, I'm pretty excited about that. Come on in. The best way you're going to get a copy is you come on into Comics and More and pick one up. If you come in and pick it up here, it will be $3.99. The plan is if you want more than one copy, well, you're going to have to buy the regular cover too. If you buy the regular cover, I'll let you buy up to 3 of the retailer variant. For those of you out of state, out of the country, whatever, well, you're not going to get it for $3.99, unfortunately, because we got to see what the market will bear. So you can go ahead and send me a message if you want through YouTube, or if you find us on the Facebook, go ahead and send me a message, and we'll find a way to try and get you a copy if you're looking for one. So that's super excited. What do you got? What's your pick of the week?
Well, my pick of the week is Spider-Man 666.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the first time we've ever agreed. This beautiful cover right here. I'm there by Spider-Man's foot. This includes not just the 2 of us, but members of the Zod Complex podcast, the WeekNGeek podcast, creator-owned blog, all of us.
And Geek Fights.
And Geek Fights.
Geek Fights, because we got Damon on there too. Damon, who's been on the show.
Yep. So, it's the whole family's on here.
Yes.
But this was a lot of fun. It was great to participate in.
The cover image, I want to go ahead and say here, the cover image was designed by Mr. Ortiz. Mm-hmm. Most of the photos, the photo of the shop and the photo of Spider-Man and myself were taken by Josh Sloan. So I want to give him his props on that too.
And I also want to point out that Spider-Man on this particular cover was also Mr. Chris Brown here.
It was, and somehow everybody thinks I'm Fat Spider-Man. Like, what's up with Fat Spider-Man? I'm like, wait, Spider-Man's not fat. He's fatter than you. Oh, really? Really? Is that so?
And you may not realize it, but Chris is on there a 3rd time.
Yeah, I'm also at the register in the store, but you can't really see me.
No, but he's there. I know.
I'm all over the place.
I know what's behind Jabbo in that picture.
My mom was disappointed that the picture of me as a 3-year-old in my Spider-Man shirt didn't end up in here somehow. I was like, we could have put a kid in there, I guess, and then I'd have been all over this damn book. I think 3 of me is enough.
3 is enough. This
8 is enough. And
the
highlight. A crowd or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a crowd. It's enough. It's enough of a crowd.
I'm comfortable.
I'm a little uncomfortable now. But anyway, this was a lot of fun. This whole promotion, not just ours. A lot of people have had a lot of fun with this. You can see the images online. You can see all the other covers that aren't quite as cool as this one.
Yeah, go to Marvel.com, right?
Yeah, they're somewhere on Marvel's website. You can find them also through Bleeding Cool, who's been covering all of this. In the comments section, someone's got a link.
And check and see if your local retailer has participated.
Yeah, a lot of people
Because if they did, show some love and pick that book up.
Yeah.
Because we had to spend a lot of money to make this happen.
Yep.
And it wasn't just about that. It was, in a lot of ways, it was about trying to have fun and do something
It was about
neat
being
for
on the
store.
cover of Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, hey, it was worth it the money for me. Well, yeah, my Spider-Man arm, those of you who know me already know I'm tattooed with Spider-Man all over.
So this was a great thing, Marvel. Great idea. If you do it again, hopefully we'll participate.
Yeah, it'd have to be something I would want to do, something we think we can do cleverly.
This was a cool idea, and I would think you should support it. And come on down and
come on down to Comics and More and get your own copy. We'll be here all day tomorrow from 1 until 9, or today. You're watching this today, tomorrow? 1 to 9 on Wednesday. We'll be here with the book, and they should last us, I'm thinking, a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So now in other news, we usually want that's our wrap, but I'd like to mention something else ever so quick, and I really didn't want it to get lost in the shuffle of all of our fun. But Tony Whitfield has been watching the show. He's one of the kids of Whitney High, and it's a special education high school in L.A. And this particular group, they're a rock band. They're a rock and roll band, and they've been together for years and years and years. There have been many students that have come through the Whitney High, but this group of 7 have stuck together, and they're rocking and rolling, and they wrote a comic book together. And I promised Tony that I would review it. Tony, I will review it next week. We're running a little short on time now, and I didn't want you to get lost in the shovel of our Amazing Spider-Man nonsense this week. So it looks great, covered by Jim Mahfood, and I'm going to do a full review on this book next week. I'm really excited about it, and I'll tell you all the various places where you can get that. You can get it through the Kids of Whitney High's website and a couple other places, and we'll talk about that plenty next week. So with that, do you have anything else you want to mention?
No, I think this giant stack of comics covers it all.
So I think that has been your month in geek at this point. Jeez, oh Pete, took us long enough to do this show.
Yeah.
That's your Week in Geek. Alright, so they finally arrived. I've been freaking out all week long about these Spider-Man books, and they're here. The street date is the 27th, but they've arrived on Monday, and I'm going to do an unboxing video, and you can share this with me. I'm very excited. See what these bad boys look like. Oh, there it is. Look at that. There it is, the Comics and More Amazing Spider-Man variant. Very exciting. Got a little info on the back cover too. Well done.